Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to cover the key phases of auditing, which will be based on the ISO 19011 standards, which are basically the guidelines for auditing. So I'll be covering all of them. And what are the key considerations while going through the whole audit process and how the whole audit cycle looks like. So I'll be covering all of that. And in case you know me, you can skip the next 30 seconds to get right to the topic. This is Sayyid Arshad Hashmi from Core System Consultant. By profession, I'm an engineer with extensive experience as consultant, trainer, and auditor for many ISO standards, including information security, business continuity, energy, quality, environment, health, and safety management standards. I've done more than 3,000 mandates of trainings and audits, and I've worked on more than 150 consulting projects with major industrial sectors across the globe. So that was a brief about myself, and now let's get started. So these are the six key phases in an auditing process. Whenever you are planning an internal audit, these are the six key phases that you need to keep in mind: how to initiate the audit, how to plan the audit, then conducting the audit, which is the execution phase, how to report, and then how to do the follow-up. So this is the complete audit cycle that covers the whole audit process. So the first phase, initiating the audit, there are certain key considerations. First is to define the scope. So if it depends upon the type of organization and the structure of your organization, how large it is, and how many departments and how many processes you like to cover, or how many sites out there that you like to cover. So it all depends on that. It can be the whole scope of certification, or it can be a subpart or subset of your scope of certification. You can select few departments for audit as well, depending upon the size of your organization and the availability. You define the objective, which is normally the conformance against the requirement of the standard, and the criteria. The criteria is itself the standard, or it can be done against any of your policies and procedures as well. Then you confirm the audit feasibility. So you contact those departments which you are planning to audit. You can contact their resources. You ensure the availability of the not just the departments that you are about to audit, which are called auditee, but also the auditor's availability as well. And you tentatively decide for the timings in which weeks or which months you would like to conduct the audit as per the feasibility of the auditee, which is the department to be audited. Then you appoint the audit team leader and the members. So the audit manager, whoever is responsible, he or she can himself or herself be the audit team manager or the audit team leader, or they can appoint any of the other auditors to be the audit team leader along with other auditors. So again, this depends upon the size of the organization and the scope of your audit. Then the planning phase will start. And in the planning phase, the first thing that you do is the audit plan. This covers the departments that you will be auditing, the processes that you will be covering, which days you will be auditing, for how many days. And if there are any consideration for multiple sites, then you take into account the travel time as well. So you plan everything out. That is called that one particular audit plan. Then you communicate that audit plan to the auditors as well as to the auditee, which are the departments to be audited. So they both know that when the auditor will be coming to audit them, and the auditor would also know that in which department they need to visit, on which dates and timings they need to visit, which processes and which departments. Based on this audit plan, the auditor may review the relevant documentation for the departments that they are assigned to be audited, and then they can review their previous audit reports as well. And there are any issues which may be coming in those particular departments, so that they can review all of that, and based on that, they can prepare their audit checklist. So this is one of the key steps which predefine and which prepare well the auditor for the coming up audit. Then the third phase comprise of the conducting the audit. This is called the execution phase, in which normally the it starts with the opening meeting. So you call up all the so you visit the site along with the whole audit team. So the audit team leader and the audit team members, they all visit the site, and then and if they belong to that one site, they just call in the auditee, which are the departments and the processes to be audited, to just put them on one page and reconfirm their availability and a brief overview how the audit process will go and how the audit process, what to expect out of that audit process. Then they start auditing. The audit is done through by visiting the site, by interviewing the people, by reviewing the documents and records and policies and procedures to evaluate the conformance or the non-conformance, and based on that, they conduct the audit. The important thing during the audit process is to maintain the objectivity and impartiality. And this is something to be understood that this audit is for the process, and it's not, you are not auditing a person, you are auditing a department or a process. So the objectivity and impartiality vis-a-vis the process and the evidences needs to be maintained. And that is what needs to be ensured during the audit process. Then the last end of the audit, during the audit execution, is the reporting the audit findings. So when the end of the audit, towards the end of the audit, the all the auditors gather and the audit team leader, they analyze all the evidences that has been collected against the criteria, which can be standard or company owned procedures. And then they classify their findings. So the findings can be classified as conformities, non-conformities, observations, opportunity for improvement. And here I like to just make a point that a lot of findings will be related to the conformities. Rather, 90% of our audit reports comprise of the conformity wherever we found the conformance, and how. So we record the whole event, that how the company and the process is complying with the standard requirements or maybe the requirement of the company owned policies and procedures. So we report conformity, and in that process, if there are any non-conformities or opportunity for improvement or observations are potential non-conformities. So we report that during the audit process, and during the reporting, we finalize all of that, and then we prepare an audit report along with any non-conformities that we found out. And this is a draft audit report that we prepare towards the end, just to present it to the management in the closing meeting. Then, lastly, we conduct the closing meeting, and we present all the findings. What are the non-conformities? What are the conformities? What are the strengths? Even we report that, or any opportunity for improvement or observations, we report that all in the closing meeting. Then we complete the audit by finalizing and issue audit report to relevant stakeholders. So whichever the departments that have been audited, we issue the audit reports to them and to their management. And then we ensure complete confidentiality vis-a-vis those audit reports, that it should be given only to the relevant stakeholders. And then we archive audit records according to the organizational requirements. So whatever, and normally it contains the audit plan, the audit checklist, the auditor notes, an executive summary. All of that is combined together as an audit pack and archived as per organizational requirements. The last phase comprises of the follow-up activities. So when you raise non-conformities, then usually it is time given that which date the non-conformities will be resolved and the corrective action will be taken. On those dates, the implementation, the verification of the implementation of those corrective actions for the non-conformities needs to be done. So usually the audit manager calls in the respective auditor who raised the non-conformity to go there again and find out if the corrective actions have been taken, if they are effective, if there are no other similar non-conformities were found into that process. And then they close out when the whole audit, when all the actions are being taken and all the non-conformities are been taken, are resolved. Then they close out the whole audit process. So this is the six key phases of auditing, and which starts from initiating the audit, planning the audit, conduct the audit, report audit findings, and follow-up activities. So the key takeaways out of this whole thing is that it is a structured process with six key phases, as I've just explained. Moving to that, the planning plays a very, very important role in the whole audit process. So the more effective the planning, well ahead the planning is, and well communicate. If you communicate it well to the auditor and the auditee, the more smooth the process execution will be. Um, you need to maintain objectivity and impartiality during the internal audit process. We try and we make sure not to send the same people to their respective departments. Rather, some other people needs to be sent to those departments to maintain cross functioning, to maintain impartiality and unbiasedness. Then timely and accurate reporting. Yes, this is very, very important, that you need to report the findings as soon as possible so that they may start taking corrective action. And then follow-up activities. So somebody needs to follow up over the non-conformities to close it down on timely basis. So this is a brief overview about the audit cycle, how six phases interacts with each other, what are the some of the considerations during those phases, and hopefully in my next videos I'll be covering those phases in a little more detail. So stay tuned if you want to know about this audit process and what are the do's and don'ts related to when you're planning the audit, when you're developing the audit plan, when you're making the audit checklist, when you are executing. So I'll be elaborating those phases in my next videos. Till then, I'll see you again. Thank you.